All right, hey guys. I think I'm back. Am I back, Brian? I got you on here. What's up, guys? 1 minute. Technical difficulties. Fucking technology, right? I have no dashboard, so if you text, can't see it. Oh wait a minute, what's this here? What we got going on here? Okay, says I'm live. Yes, there we go. Finally. Okay, yes, I finally have a dashboard. Hello, 3 people that are in here. All right, you guys can see me. Things are on. I have an OBS account, so things should work great. 30 frames per second. CPU is running at 0.4. All right, we are good. Yes, there we go, finally. All right, guys, hey, what's up? I know it's been a while. I haven't appeared on SPRAD for well over 10 years. I know. I went on a little journey. Anyway, I'm back, and I'm doing greater things. So, as everybody knows, I got business cards for SPRAD. Right? We'll have shirts coming soon for those that want them. I know a lot want them. But I wanted to come in and talk today about the energy that we use, the energy that we're surrounded by. We teach a lot of this in the academy. For those that have been watching the SPRAD Paranormal page, you know that I went through a whole Christian rabbi Judaism kind of type thing where I ultimately ended up following the writings of King Solomon. That led me into the Necronomicon and the Book of the Apprentice Wizard and into the Academy of Sorcery. And I am now bringing sorcery into my paranormal. And I have been doing this for the last year, a little over a year, and it's been getting exciting. And so, let me turn this down. So, there we go. So, I wanted to come talk today because I found a few things interesting. Let's see here. See if I can share this without getting in trouble. Alright. A first of its kind signal has been detected in human brain. This is very interesting, guys. Let's read this. Scientists have recently identified a unique form of cell messaging. Keyword there. Keyword. Cell messaging. Occurring in the human brain that's not been seen before. Excitingly, the discovery hints that our brains might be even more powerful units of computation than we realized. Back in 2020, researchers from institutes in Germany and Greece reported a mechanism in the brain's outer cortex cells that produce a novel graded signal all on its own. One that could provide individual neurons with another way to carry out their logical functions. By measuring the electrical activity in sections of tissue removed during surgery on epileptic patients and analyzing their structure using fluorescent microscopy, the neurologist found individual cells in the cortex use not just the usual sodium ions to fire, but calcium as well. Now, this is very important because anybody remember that phrase, what you are is what you eat? Remember that phrase, what you are is what you eat. That has a lot to do with what we're talking about. It might not seem like it, but I'll explain later on. We also learn all kinds of stuff like that in the academy. This combination of positively charged ions kicked off waves of voltage that had never been seen before. Referred to as calcium mediated dendritic action potentials, or DCAPS. Brains, especially those of the human variety, are often compared to computers. The analogy has its limits. but on some levels they perform tasks in similar ways. Both use the power of an electrical voltage to carry out various operations. Another very important part, electrical voltage. That runs through our brain, remember that. In computers, it's in the form of a rather simple flow of electrons through intersections called transistors. In neurons, the signal is in the form of a wave of opening and closing channels that exchange charged particles such as sodium, chloride, and potassium. This pulse of flowing ions is called an action potential. Instead of transistors, neurons manage these messages chemically at the end of branches called dendrites. The dendrites are central to understanding the brain because they are at the core of what determines the computational power of signal neurons. Humboldt University neuroscientist Matthew Larkham told Walter Beckwith at the American Association for the Advancement of Science in January 2020, when this post originally came out, I'm gathering, that dendrites are the traffic lights of our nervous system. If inaction potential is significant enough, it can be passed on to other nerves which can block or pass on the message. This is the logical underpinnings of our brain. Ripples of voltage, energy, remember that can be communicated collectively in two forms, either an AND message. If X and Y are triggered, the message is passed on, or an AND OR message if X or Y is triggered, the message is passed on. Arguably, nowhere is this more complex than in the dense, wrinkled outer section of the human central nervous system, the cerebral cortex. The deeper second and third layers are especially thick, packed with branches that carry out high-order functions we associate with sensation, thought, and motor control. It was tissues from these layers that the researchers took a close look at, hooking up cells to a device called a somatodendric path clamp to send active potentials up and down each neuron, recording their signals. There was a eureka moment when we saw the dendritic action potentials for the first time, said Larkham. To ensure any discoveries weren't unique to people with epilepsy, they double-checked their results in a handful of samples taken from brain tumors. While the team had carried out similar experiments on rats, the kinds of signals they observed buzzing through the human cells were very different. More importantly, when they dosed the cells with a sodium channel blocker called tetrodotoxin, they still found a signal. Only by blocking calcium did all fall quiet. Now, I want to talk about that. Only by blocking with calcium, right? Let's take a minute here. Because I tell you guys all the time, we can't operate, we witches, those that are in the academy and the brotherhood and that we talk, we can't operate if our third eye is blocked. How does that get blocked? By them feeding us calcium in the water, calcium in many things. Calcium blocks your third eye. So those that are practicing the crap, remember that. All right, let's get back here. And so finding an action potential mediated by calcium is interesting enough, but modeling the way this sensitive new kind of signal worked in the cortex revealed a surprise. In addition to the local and or type functions, these individual neurons could act as exclusive or XOR intersections, which only permit a signal when another signal is graded in a particular fashion. Traditionally, the XOR operation has been thought to require a network solution, the researchers wrote. More work needs to be done to see how DCAAPs behave across entire neurons and in a living system, not to mention whether it's a human thing or if similar mechanisms have evolved elsewhere, like the animal kingdom. And so what I want to talk about is, like, we're talking about the electrical charge in the neurons in the human brain. I just did a study, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, about the windows are the eyes that are the windows to your soul. Okay. Being a sorcerer, it's very interesting when you look at the human body, okay? I've had a lot of experience in time this past little bit while I've been having fun at the Academy of Sorcery. And toads to Brian, you rock, bro. In learning that, I've learned some physics, I've learned some biochemistry, I've learned a shit ton of alchemy and astrology and biochemistry, did I say that? But I've learned a lot of this stuff, so much so as to where when I started getting into sorcery, I started to learn who I was alchemically, and that led me into decoding myself and then getting a blood test and the whole way down the line. But not to get sidetracked, our brain runs on an electrical charge, right? Well, it's the same as a sorcerer making a golem. We're basically a flesh-filled golem, because we take that energy, that spiritual energy, and we put it into the golem, and the golem then comes alive, right? It's now going to do your bidding. It's the same thing as us humans, and the higher intelligentsia knew this, right? Without that spark that these guys were just talking about, let me go back here because this is very important, guys. Cell messaging. Okay? Don't leave that little word out. It's very important when we talk about the electrical program of our brain. Others refer to it as Pablo Magada. But what I want to get at is, without all that electrical charge, without all that functioning and messaging, you know, letting us know our nerves and we have pain and we're hungry or we're tired, or, you know, without all that, this body don't move. It's just dead atoms, dead neurons, dead flesh, meat suit, kind of like a whale that washes up on the beach. Dead. Can't move. Rots and stinks. Why? Because that electrical charge that ran your brain has now moved on. It didn't go to hell like mythologies kind of try to tell you, because they want to scare you. Oh, I'm so scared. I don't scare easy. Matter of fact, I don't scare at all. So, you know, what happens to us when that spark just dies out? I have a theory. Okay, look at this. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be converted from one form to another. This is one of the most basic laws of what? Physics. Something I learned in the Academy of Sorcery. Okay, anyway, and it's something that we see happening around us all the time. Energy can neither be created or destroyed, guys. All right, so where does that leave us? Not in hell, right? All right. So when it leaves us, when it leaves this body, it doesn't die. It transforms. Has anybody ever heard of reincarnation? Get used to it. Get familiar with it. All right? Because ultimately, we, just like the Bible says, we go back to the one who created us, to the higher beings, to the energy that we came from. We go back there. And see, when one learns this, one learns the energy that's around us that moves things, or screams from us out of nowhere. You know, there's nobody there, but we heard it, right? Yes, we heard it. It's an energy, and it's very much real, and it's very much back there, and it's probably very much in golem form here. Probably really had a body. Some didn't. Some don't. Some were never born. As a paranormal investigator and sorcerer, I understand these energies. I play with these energies. I like these energies. They like me back. Alright. And so, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to go too deep into, you know, what we do in the Academy, because really, that's a journey in itself, and I don't really think it's too much money to learn your path, who you are, what you want to do. So let's look at it as, you can watch these videos that I'll be putting out over the next couple years. I'm gonna have some good times here. I'm bringing some good content. But if you're into understanding everything I've just brought to you today, the energies that we play with, you know, witchcraft, kitchen witching, herbology, whatever it is, alchemy, astrology, whatever your little craft is, check out the Academy of Sorcery. They can help you. And keep an eye on the skies, guys. Things are going to get active. These things that they portray in Hollywood are not really what they are in Hollywood, but they're coming. So I'll leave you with that thought. You don't die, you just go on to the ones who were before us, and they'll be happy to see you. They help you on this side too, if you just listen. And there's witness accounts of people who are living who have talked to their ancestors on this side. Some have even astro traveled. Like, it's a fascinating world when you open your mind and think outside the box, guys. Like, there's so much you can do, and there's so much to see, as long as you get that fear out of your head. And why do I say that? How do I know this? Because I've already been down that journey. That's what took me 10 years to get back to where I am here today, in front of you as a paranormal investigator, just like I was 12 years ago before I started this journey. The only difference is now I'm much more educated. I'm much more hands-on training. Back then I didn't. I was just playing with stuff and running from it and documenting it and being like, haha, look, I found this. Now I'm not doing that. Now I'm going to places and I'm calling, summoning, invoking, bringing these things and documenting and recording. All while helping my community get rid of things like so little girls can sleep at night. So see, it's going to work both ways. Nevertheless, more people are going to learn that there's a reason kings and queens used to come to sorcerers and seers and sayers way back in my ancestors' time. There's a reason. Bring it back today. Alright guys, I love my fellow brothers. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, stay blessed. I love y'all.